Hello, everyone, and welcome to day one of Chainsaw Slaughter, brought to you by Grindhouse. And we have Gorilla versus Origin. I'm joined here today by Georgie. Georgie, how are you doing? Are you excited to see game number 2 of today after that first exciting match?
Yeah, so awesome seeing these two teams come together. These are very good teams, but also some very well-known players here. We got Obi piloting Oni for Team Gorilla. Team Gorilla seemingly to be one of the more dominant teams of this matchup. This will definitely be one of the highlights of today. If you want to check out a match today, this will definitely be one of the ones to watch. A good quick hit coming out for an Oni. That's not what you want to see if you're versing Oni. A little bit of a mind game here coming out from Obi, trying to get the check spot wrong, but Variant too strong in his check spot. Not going to give it quite up, but does take a fall. And this whole time he's collecting blood. We've got Corrupt, we've got Bamboozle, we've got Painter's and Eruption. Obi set in a prime spot to get this hook and camp it out with power. A Shack Drop does come through, but I don't know if they've had much progress going through. Obi might choose to drop this chase and go take a fresh down with his power, holding off to pop it, waiting until he sees a fresh survivor.
Yeah, not a ton of gen pressure on the board for that hit too. So Obi able to just apply this eruption and look for a survivor. And that first down of the game is really going to be the moment where things start to snowball. As we've mentioned before today, is Thompson House doesn't always have the strongest resources, but it is a pretty big map. So not necessarily the best map for an Oni to just go completely slug crazy, but it should be a pretty good map for Oni to get quick downs with powers. So if Obi can convert all these powers into downs, he should be able to get some snowball going here as he's just applying these eruption procs to these gens, so that when he gets that first down, the gen pressure will just kind of diminish rapidly. As he makes his way back over to this gen, does seem like survivors got back on the generator, and oh, that looks like someone hopping out of the locker there. Obi popping power now, seeing if he can get that first down of this game. Coming around here now, gets the down under the pallet. That's the eruption proccing on both of those generators now. And now Obi has a fresh hook here to decide if he wants to pain res these gens or not.
Yeah, good down coming on to Lawyer. You can saw he hopped out of the locker at just a little bit of the wrong time, trying to stealth him out. And I mean, as we talked about earlier, Thompson House is a large map, so it's on these survivors to play the macro right. And we've seen rough starts, especially from the last set. If you haven't checked that out, make sure to go check out the VOD and watch that. But you can definitely come back from this as a survivor team. All it takes is just a proper positioning. A quick pull coming out onto Lawyer, and another quick chase coming out from Vulpus. Oh, but trying to hit the vaults does not make it. Obi gets the hit over the pallet and going back into power and apply eruptions. He's set in a position to either play for tunnel out or play for a fresh hit, fresh down with power. Spots the survivor, sees the crow going up, gonna pop power, trying to go for the down here on the Lawyer, who's already injured, but hold that thought, he cancels that, goes for the 180 and actually ends up colliding. I'm not sure if this is the best play, but does find another flick and not quite landing it. But no pallet left to play after this. Lawyer surely going down. Obi closing in on a potentially second stage on Adam, but the jiggy pathing, not quite enough, but a good attempt.
Yeah, hopefully these survivors got good gen pressure off of that little bit of a chase there. As Obi going for his second hook here, but most likely, yep, there it is, going to be using that pain res hook this time to just prevent these gens from progressing too much. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw at least one finishing up here, as there has been a survivor who most likely has been interrupted for a vast majority of the game. We do hear progress being worked on the main. Obi breaking this wall for later, and now with Eruption off cooldown, he can go around and start kicking these gens for Eruption, but I think Obi might be content with just pressuring this main gen and seeing if he can get this camp, bamboozling this window twice over. Very good, because now Obi can make his way all the way around, and this survivor has nowhere to go as they cannot vault the window. This could potentially be very big problems for Origin, as Obi just bamboozling that window ahead of time. Ace trying to waste as much time as possible, does take the hit, but pretty deep in, and Obi just going to be doing the same thing again, making his way back around. I don't think that Variant was expecting that, although he does have the balanced landing, so he does manage to get away from that situation, but that could have been catastrophic, as we do see the unhook sneaking in, as someone was able to get back and unhook, and now we have this side of the map that hasn't had any resources used, so potentially Lawyer can make this chase happen, as he does drop this filler but loses 150-50, and sometimes that's all it takes, as he does go down for the third time of the game, and that's going to be a tunnel out at 4 generators, maybe 3 if we see one popping in a second, but for the time being, 4 generators. Obi has enough blood for another power on top of that, can potentially snowball this out of control, especially since he does manage to see some survivors, and he's got that eruption sitting there waiting as he's going to go around and start kicking these gens.
Yeah, Obi has all the time in the world to just kind of play it safe. You can see now that he has power unlocked and ready to go at a moment's notice, the survivors for Origin here have to be incredibly cautious with what they pressure, because anything on site, if you're in that gen lock, he will pop power and inevitably down you, especially with that Aikido's crutch. I mean, talk about some add-on combinations for Oni. We see, you know, look, I'm an Oni player too. I think Aikido's crutch is... I personally would go Lion's Fang on this map. It's just big. You need the duration on it, especially if you want to get that nice slugging going. But what Aikido's gives you as an option as an Oni is it gives you lethality. It's so much speed. It's so hard to play these tiles and dodge the Oni, dodge those flicks, because he just catches up to you, and it just doesn't give you the opportunity to even dodge the flick. The speed of the Oni comes through. Variant trying its best to path it, but Obi does eventually get that down. But again, no Lion's Fang, so this duration will be going down, but the Eruption Aura comes through on the Vulpes, and Aikido's Crutch allows him to get over to that Pallet Gym. We're now down 2 survivors. Jake is the only one up, and we're at 4 gens. Are we gonna see a 4K4?
I think it's very possible from this moment, as now he just pain reses over and over again for each of these downs and just kills all the pressure that they had. They do have, I think, 2 generators with decent progress right now, but with the current position they're in, it doesn't even look like Jake was able to rotate for the pickup in that time frame, as Obi did hook over by the slug. So now all he really has to do is look for this Jake, and now with power in hand, he could prevent Jake from even getting a rescue from either of these survivors here. So if Obi just finds the Jake, it's kind of lights out, and that would be a 4K4, which would be a very hard result to match. I think this is exactly what Obi is looking for, as he's just searching around for any possible place the Jake could be. If you're on Origin's side, you do not have a lot of options here, and so Jake, I think, just kind of has to play this slowly. Either make the risky play of getting on a generator and just hoping that Obi checks every corner of the map besides the gen you're on and saves it for last, or just rotating in to try to get these pickups so they can at least scrape one more generator out of this. But with power in hand, it is so tricky, because the moment you get spotted, you know it's over.
If you want to talk about like the MVP for this match, for me it just feels like it was Eruption. I mean, yes, the quick hits mattered a lot, but Eruption is just so valuable, you can see on this map, because you're able to just, in your downtime on Oni, apply a passive regression event to the generator. And then that 14 seconds of aura reading? I'm not sure. I might have that wrong. It might be a little bit too much, but either way, it's quite a long duration of aura reading off that Eruption proc, and it just came in so clutch this game. I can see a lot of value out of it for the build on Obi, and you can see he's got his position here on the edge of Thompson House, sitting on the balcony saying, everything my shadow cast over is my land. He's got power. He's got a survivor on hook. Vulpes is seemingly soon to die here. Devour is still doing a good job stealthing, but what does it matter? I mean, a 4K4 is still, no matter what you write, a 4K4. Even if you get a fresh out, that means your killer has to 4K5. Like, this is just not reasonable. I need to see something for Origin develop here, because this is just not... I don't see how they can play this on their killer side to return with a win con like this, and Obi just making an absolute dominant performance here, making it so difficult for the survivors on Origin here to make anything reasonable.
Oh, last second unhook does come in, though. That's exactly what they maybe needed here, as, again, scraping one more gen out of this situation would be kind of the best case scenario. So managing to get that last second pull, as Obi did hook Variant for that fresh hook. Now popping power because he knows where at least one of the survivors is. He's going to potentially try to slug this and go for the other survivor, although it looks like he's trying to bait out another unhook as he swings his way through the main building and back around to see if he can find the survivor here. Although I wouldn't be surprised if this survivor were just working a generator in this moment, but I think Obi trying to predict maybe a mistake from the survivor side to see if they rotate early for the unhook, and making his way up, checking these gens along the way, and then swinging back over to main building, seeing these scratch marks, following them with that Aikido's crutch, as you mentioned, just so much lethality, so much speed, catching up so quickly and getting the down before Yui even has a chance to make it into the building, and just going to pick that up and get the kill onto her. And now we just have to see what the Jake's going to do in this situation. Does he just get this unhook in time, or maybe there's a gen progress? No, it looks like he's just going for the unhook, and now in the 2v1, if Obi plays this right, this could be the 4K4 that we were talking about.
Yeah, Obi in prime position to find this 2K. Reasonably ended very quickly, but a hit on the Devour is going to come through, spotting his rotation, leaving the tractor. Jake not quite able to make it out of that alive without giving a hit. And now we have an Oni with 2 injured players in the 2v1. Eventually power will be coming. It is an inevitability at this point. No way to reset Variant as there is no med kit allowed, no chest searching either. Here in the Grindhouse Slaughter tournament, a power does come through. Devour has got to make something work. He doesn't have a pallet to play, but he's got some hay bells. Going to be trying to juke around. It does go find to the tile, but doesn't make the pallet in time. Obi using that Ikito's Crush quickly to down him. Just going to take his slug here. Now, you may be questioning, like, why doesn't he just slug? Why doesn't he just try to find the 4th survivor? Oni's very good at tracking. I mean, that blood, when you're injured, you will be dropping it, whether you're sitting in the corner of the map, in the middle of the map, or in a locker. Well, you won't be dropping blood in a locker, but you will be grunting, leaving groans of pains, and as quiet as Ace is, I'm sure Obi can hear him out here. Now it's just on Variant to either make the play for going for the unhook, popping a gen, or hiding until endgame.
Yeah, not a lot of options here for Origin as they are just backed into a corner. Obi looking for that last survivor now and trying to secure that 4K4, and it looks like the unhook does manage to come in, and it won't be for a trade either as they do have resources on either side. Obi just making his way over, chasing Devour here, trying to get this down. Devour needs to win 150-50 here to make this happen, and he does win the 50-50, so he could potentially turn this chase into a little bit longer as Variant is most likely rotating to a generator here, but we're going to need nothing short of a miracle to make that generator pop as Obi just playing this and Devour just winning another 50-50. We see the Bloodlust 1 kicking in, and he's not going to quite make it over the pallet this time with that speed boost kicking in. Obi breaking the pallet, and is most likely just going to take his hook here, and we see the same position that these survivors put in a second ago. We just have this hook, power in hand, an injured survivor, and just not a lot to go off of from there as Devour is on his second stage. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just see Origin try to play for this hatch escape so that they can at least get the 4K4 win con. But with power in hand, it might be kind of tricky to go for that hatch as well, as Obi just searching for that last survivor, trying to get that 4K4.
And with a team like Gorilla, with all these noted players and strong survivor roster, a 4K4 win con even at that, you are on some borrowed time, my friend. So Origin, a little bit possibly out of it today, but never to lose hope. It's always a mental game with Comp DBD. You can't count yourself out. So Origin's still here to play, still trying to do the best they can. Variant not going for hatch, understands that Obi will be sitting on hit, but the one advantage he does have is, again, Thompson House, really big map, so you can play these gates. Obi reluctant to the pop power yet. Maybe he just wants to find a blood pool at one of the gates and see which one he's at. Not quite going to use the power, but Variant has to find a way to sneak these gates. They are reasonable, so we have one over here at the tractor and another one over here at this little area at 1 o'clock if you want to use that clock. But so a good opportunity for him to make a gate escape, but Obi can kind of see both. Well, maybe not as quite as advantageous as he does, but Obi finds him and eventually pops power, sees the red light, gotta be slow, closing in for a down here with the Oni power. Are we gonna see a flick or just a standard down? A good little one frame 180 comes through, hits him with the butt of the Kanabo, whatever the Oni wears. I forget what the mallet is called. I just call it the mallet. It's the meat mallet. But either way, a phenomenal performance from Obi. A 4K4 is what we're walking into. Autumn, talk to me about how this next match is gonna go.
I mean, you need the fastest first hit you've ever seen and the biggest slugfest you've ever seen on a map of this size. That's kind of the only way you're going to make a win con like that. And again, you've mentioned they're playing against, a good survivor roster here, so you're going to need to play your heart out if you want to meet a win con like this. So we will have to see if Origin can manage that 4K4 tie at the very least here. We'll see you all in a little bit for game number 2 of game number 2. So stay tuned.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Chainsaw Slaughter, sponsored by Grindhouse. I'm back on the cast with my friend Odd Nostalgia here, and we just saw Obi get a 4K4 on Oni for Thompson House. So Variant playing for Origin has got a daunting win con of 4K5, and we can see likewise with the build we've got Corrupted Intervention and That is Undying, Ruin, and Crowd Control, so very aggressive on the totems. Says, I have no time to kick gens, I have no time to play for pain res, no time to even hook. I am just going to block these windows, I'm going to use the Ruin, and do my best. We can see Lion's Fang in the add-on slot for Variant, so a potential very big slug coming on here onto the survivors for Gorilla. But look at this stacked roster, look at these survivors. If there's any roster that you're going to 4K5, I don't think it's this one.
Yeah, you know, we've seen teams do some goofy stuff in the past. All it takes is a little bit of overconfidence and everything crumbles. So hopefully, for Variant's sake, something like that might happen, but it's going to be tricky from this moment on, as we see Variant not able to get that tag nearly as fast as Obi was, and is now struggling to find another survivor in order to get that tag. Although we do hear gen progress over here, so it looks like he is going to find survivors, as we do see totems going, and Variant trying to get this tag now onto Kexo, I think, making his way over here towards this tile, as Variant falling a little bit behind. We see some distance, and we have a very strong filler pallet here, as two survivors are here, actually, as we see the pallet go down. Variant kicking, zoning towards the middle of the map now, and we see these two survivors making their way around. With the win con being the way it is, it's okay for survivors to be not doing anything. They only need one or two survivors on gens at any given time, so this isn't even a huge interrupt for the survivors here. But we do see the first tag coming in, and that is exactly what Variant needed. Getting that tag, already has a pretty full power gauge. Now just needs to farm this for power and then make his way over towards the active generators with power and go for that massive slugfest. We see Shaq Pallet going down now. The stun coming in, smash hit, making his way up towards the next tile, as Variant does pick up enough blood now. Now he just has to make his way to these active generators and play for a snowball slugfest in order to get anything out of this. Again, it's 4K5 win con. We do see the gen popping, so now all he can play for is that tie. The 4K4 tie con. I wonder how many downs he's going to be able to get with his power. Winning the 50-50 does vault the pallet, and is going to go... Oh no, doesn't quite do it enough, and it's going to be the M1 now. Not what you needed if you're Variant. You needed that down in that moment to make anything happen. Another pallet stun coming in, and it is going to be so difficult for him to recover this with half of his power gauge gone. He only is going to be able to really get one down here, and all the survivors need to do is pop one more generator. He does get the down here onto Anna, and is going to get the pickup, but no pain res in play. So if these survivors are just doubling or tripling a gen even, it should just be over from here if he can't interrupt the gen in time.
Yeah, it should be all but for not for Variant so far. We can see their survivors very eager to take chase here, saying they're very confident. And yeah, no more blood on the map because the reset was made during the power for Variant, and as you know, there's no blood orbs dropped while the Oni's in power, so no opportunity for Variant to collect the blood pool, the blood debt from that heal and reset. So now we're pretty much back to square one. I mean, this time we just don't have crowd control to help with these windows that are going to be available, and seeing that he has no bamboozle ops to drop that chase, but at that point, if you keep dropping that chase running towards Shaq, that gen will pop there and that Tycon is no longer available. So Variant has to get a hit now. Get this power. He has to hope Kiko messes up on this pallet, but chooses to actually greet it. Gonna go for another run around the pallet. Eventually does run through it and does drop it. Variant not gonna swing through it and get pallet stunned, but that generator is so close to popping over there in that corner by 8. And that whole time the chase is happening, these survivors are split in the gens, no crowd control in the option, only Ruin up. Variant has to finally get a hit, but no. The gen pop does come through. Is he going to make this hit before the pallet? No, Kiko having great pathing does greet the pallet. Now we're just on a game-winning chase here from Kiko.
Yeah, we do see another generator popping. Bloodlust 2 coming in now. Doesn't even get the hit with the Bloodlust 2. Pallet stun coming in, and now Variant struggling to even just get his power back, even though he did get that first tag of the game, as you mentioned. Just resetting during power means you're not going to get another one, so now he just has to play all over again for that M1, and with only one stage on the board, it's going to be hard to get any win or any like high stage result out of this, as these pallets are just dropping and getting broken. Kexo making his way over now and rotating back around towards the main building. Variant closing in the distance. He should get his hit here now, which will get him very close to getting power here. Tag coming in and his bar is now 90% of the way there and just needs to pick up a few orbs. And that's exactly what he's going to do, is pick up a few more orbs and see if he can get any downs with this power now. We could potentially see 2. He's got the Lion's Fang. He could play for 2. 2 downs, maybe even 3, depending on how fast that first down is. And he is going to be swinging around here. Doesn't quite win the 50 as we see the survivor just waiting on the pallet. Is just going to play for the pallet save again. With this, with 4 survivors being up at this point, you don't need all the survivors doing a whole lot. So just having someone around for a pallet save while 2 people work gens is just, honestly, that's all you need. He is going to risk it, get the pickup. No pallet save coming in, doesn't quite land it. That's gonna be the hook coming in, but again, no pain res, so he's not gonna be able to slow this gen progress down unless he goes to interrupt it with that ruin. Might have enough blood for another power, and it looks like he actually does. As the unhook comes in, is just gonna be playing down after down here as the unhook comes in, just going for more and more as he's gonna go interrupt these gens with his ruin in play, following these scratch marks. Here's the survivor too, it's the Jonah, and that's gonna be the down. That's not a Jonah, that's a Jake. Why does the Jonah and the Jake have like matching outfits this game? I just realized, like the headpieces and stuff. That's gonna be the Jake going down. That's Spitz going on to the hook here. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a generator getting finished, as main gen has been sitting there for a while. That second stage onto Spitz is Varian making his way down over towards his shack generator, collecting even more blood as he should have enough for a power now, as the survivors cannot reset at this point. That's gonna be the generator popping as well over at the main building. Pallet swing coming in, flashlight blind coming in, and Varian is just in a very rough spot here.
Yeah, but that said, he's got 2 injured survivors, so he has an opportunity to collect blood here. This injured Alucard over here at the shack, so an opportunity to collect power, and does pop it onto Kiko. Now this chase starts, but no Akito's Crush to make this easy, but spots out the flare into the hay bale and does find the down. The other stage onto the board. But now you're playing for the best you can. And it would be awesome to see a 4K here, but look at the gen spread. These gens are very better, and Ruin, you can do anything with Oni power, but can you stop when it's 4 survivors up and they can split the map as best as they can? Like, I'm not sure you can, even with the Oni and power and all the speed. Locker head on does come on through. Varian understands he didn't lock it, but it's too little too late. Dan gets a stun. And in the meantime, a quick pull comes on to the Alucard. Borrow time hit does make it so Dan can make it back around to the pallet. Back around to the back of the shack. Varian chooses to drop that chase and find someone in the jungle gym. Not going to go for the 180. Does find Alucard, and this is in the second stage. I know Kiko going on the board. But you gotta wonder that whole time those generators over in that corner at 11 are being worked. But hold that thought, we've got 2 survivors here. This is looking like a carnival.
Oh, that's the flashbang save coming in, sorry. As Variant just going into endgame with that too. Just survivors 4 up into endgame right now. All Variant can really play for is that 1K now, as he's just filling his power gauge, losing a lot of it from that pickup. And pallet vault or window vault does come in twice. That's gonna be enough for power, and that's gonna be an M1 down as well. So potentially Varian could slug this and play for more with power, but he doesn't even get the hit through the window now. And I stand corrected, as Varian is just gonna be forced to take that 1 down. As we see Kexo most likely trying to play for a hatch here, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to time it correctly. No hit through the window, as these survivors are probably positioning themselves for this to see if they can time it correctly, but it's not really going to matter because Variant is closing the distance. Bloodlust 3 coming in, no shack pile to use. Making his way back around, and it looks like that's going to be the down coming in, just forcing the locker.
Wait, but a grab.
Oh, but it's a grab, so it could be the flashlight save coming in. Gorilla getting the flashlight save. They want to get that 4 out. They want to showcase exactly why they're here. And Variant popping power now, making his way, chasing the survivor, trying to get that down as he's been flashbang and flashlight saved, but that's going to be the down, and trying to look against the wall, but it's just worried that there's someone around as he sees these scratch marks, sees these blood pools, knows that someone is waiting, as they really want this 4 out, and they've really shown that, as we see coming out of the locker. That's gonna be another flashlight save coming in from Gorilla, trying to get this 4 out. We see the tag coming in, and all the survivors now rushing over towards the gate. It is a pretty long distance away, and another power coming in, so this could potentially lead to a couple of downs here. Trying to get the 4 out could actually lead to more downs. We see the flick coming in. Variant now getting that down. He wants to get the hook and he's finally able to get that hook in endgame, making some stages out of a bad situation, getting the hook on the hill, and that's gonna be more stages coming for him. Finally getting that hook he so desperately wanted in the endgame, and now can just sit on hook with power, and Gorilla not gonna be able to get that 4 out anymore, as they are all just leaving now. Happy with their result, but I think Variant's happy that he got that down in the end game now. 7 stages coming in for Variant. Very well played, but unfortunately with the win con he had going into this, it was extremely difficult. A very hard ask in order to win this, but still very well played considering the circumstances. And we will be going on to round 3 very shortly, so please stick around for that. We have another Thompson House match coming up soon, so stay tuned.